This is a production of Gordon College's Scott Radio.
Scott Radio.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Ben Schneider Show. My guest today is a former Gordon College cross-country track and field captain. She holds the school record in the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase at 12 minutes, 14.13 seconds, and is also the 12th fastest 6K runner in Gordon women's cross-country history with a PR of 24:06. Julia Drewicke, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks. You're making me sound a lot cooler than I am, so thank you for the intro.
I do my research before I come on the air, so. Yeah, so how have you been? It's been a little while. I know you graduated and got married.
Yeah. I graduated in May with like 8 other seniors who ran cross-country and track, and that was really fun. And then I've been putzing around. I went back home to California for a few months. Got married out there, moved out here. Now I'm living in Beverly with my husband and teaching a couple discovery classes at Gordon and stuff, which is fun. So yeah, a little bit busy, getting used to new post-grad life and stuff, but it's been fun. Definitely nice to be close to Gordon and familiar stuff, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure it's nice to still be in the area and be able to be involved with Vida, because I know you've been passionate about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess just start from the very beginning. Like, I know you grew up in California, but what got you into running cross-country and track? And I don't know if you played any other sports growing up, but just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I grew up playing, like, little kid soccer and stuff when I was younger. Yeah, I grew up in California around San Francisco, like outside of it, East Bay. Grew up playing soccer and stuff, and then when I got to high school, all the soccer girls kind of intimidated me because they're all, like, really serious and kind of mean. I was like, I don't know. And my mom mentioned, she was like, oh, why don't you do, like, cross-country or something? Because she did it in high school, and she was like, she went to state every year, and she was really good. So she was like, try it. And I was like, okay. And the track team at my high school was like, some of the cool kids were on it, or at least that's what I thought. So I was like, oh, I want to be cool. So that's why I joined. And I joined track my freshman year. I skipped cross country because it sounded scary. And then after that, I did cross country and track the rest of my high school career. And that was fun. I got to be captain and stuff and help build the team a lot. When I first started, the team was pretty small. And we didn't have a proper coach and stuff, starting a trend I would experience later in my running career. And then, I ran all through my senior year, and it was super fun. I made a lot of good friends doing that who are still, like, my friends now. And, and then I was looking at going to schools outside of California just because a lot of my friends were going to school in Southern California, and that's great, but there's, like, no trees down there. And it's really dry and hot and just, So I wanted to go somewhere different because I really like the Northern California area, but I wanted to go out of state, and had some friends say, oh, look at Boston. It's a lot different. And I was like, whoa, that'd be cool going so far away. And I came into Gordon as a music major, and I wanted to be able to run at school. That's why I looked at, like, D3 because I definitely was not fast enough to do most D2 schools. And I wanted to go somewhere where I could, like, really focus on school and run. And I was like, ooh, let's look up Christian D3 schools in Boston, and like Gordon's like the only ones that popped up. And then I applied, and then I accepted before I even got to visit campus. I just looked at a bunch of pictures and videos, and it looked really pretty. And I remember thinking like, whoa, there's like really good grass here and trees and stuff and a lake. That is the coolest thing ever. So it was pretty easy to impress me looking at the schools. And then when I was able to visit, I met the old coach and stuff, and it sounded really cool. So then I ended up here.
Yeah. Did you do La Vida before you came freshman year?
I did. Yeah, I did La Vida August my freshman year, and it was so much fun. I was really excited because I've always loved being outside and being with people and camping and stuff. So it just sounded right up my alley. And plus, I thought I'd be pretty cool if I told people. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm doing like a backpacking trip. And they go, what? And I'd be like, yeah, no big deal. And it was really fun. I had a great Sherpa, great people on my team. No one else who really, like, did too many sports, though, which was fine. A lot of, like, artsy people, which was cool. Get to know different people. And I loved it. And then after that, I was like, I want to be a Sherpa. So pretty much every summer for like the rest of my college years. I did May and August trip. I never did a full summer because I wanted to like go home to California and stuff.
Yeah.
But like for the rest of my time at Gordon, I did May and August, and then I'd help out with like Discovery and stuff like that. So I loved it. And I'm teaching 2 Discovery classes now, or I taught one, teaching one right now here, and it's super fun. And learning how, it's different like doing Discovery versus Vida, because Vida I was always like so chill, like, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah.
We'll
So I get, that's a question I have just personally, because I did Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what that experience is like, but how is it just spending, what is it, 10 days, 12 days out in the woods?
Yeah, 10 to 12 depending on the trip you do out in the woods. It's really great. I think it's super fun. It's a lot different than Discovery, because Discovery, you get a lot more time, obviously, to get to know people, and it's also a lot more academic centered because it's, you know, a class. It's still like a pass or fail. You don't really get a grade for it, but there's more like of a homework kind of feel and stuff versus Vida, which is just like, well, we're here, and then once we're done, we're done. Which I love both. I've grown to appreciate Discovery a lot more since like teaching it, and I think it's really, really great for people who are wanting to like elongate their experience, if that makes sense. Also, if they want to like go to preseasons for their sports too, and don't want to do La Vida. But it's been super fun, really impactful in my life, and just a great way to meet a lot of people. Even though I have missed a couple preseasons for cross country because of it, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
was Gordon your top pick when you were looking at colleges, or were there other schools you were looking at, and was running a factor?
Yeah, running was definitely a factor, because at first I was looking at University of Oregon, like Big O school, but then I was like, I cannot run there. There's no question. And then I applied to like University of Montana, like Montana State for some reason. I was like, oh yeah, I'll apply there. So Gordon was like my first pick, and I didn't think I'd get in. But I think that year, I can't remember if it was my year or the year after, the admission rate went from like 30 to like 90%. So I was like, well, you know, I'll still say I got in well. But yeah, Gordon was my top pick just because, like, you know, academics and being able to run would be really great. It's a cool location. You know, it was a Christian school because I wanted to really be mentored in my college years, you know, kind of get that experience and learn from, you know, Christians who've had more experience than me in my, like, I don't want to say vulnerable years, but like in years where I develop a lot. So yeah, Gordon was definitely my top pick for that.
Sure. Yeah, so I know Coach Weichard's really heavy on recruiting young runners. But when you came to the team, there was a different coach. I know Coach Weichard came in your sophomore year. So did the program recruit you at all? How heavily did they?
They weren't really recruiting. They were going through an odd time. So the coach I talked to before I got to Gordon wasn't actually coaching there when I arrived in August, because there was like, he got a job opportunity and he moved to a new job, and then they like hired the assistant coach full time like a week before school started. So initially I had reached out and like met with the coach, and he sounded really cool.
So Coach Weichard is actually the third coach in 3 years?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Or like
yeah, I didn't know that.
Third or fourth if you count it, because there was the one coach who I talked to who was not there in August of 2015. And then there was a cross-country coach. She had, like, just graduated. Super nice, but she, like, you know, was like, all right, go run for 2 hours. And we're like, okay. And then for track, we had another coach. We had 2, like, quote-unquote track coaches. Awful. They were horrible. No, I don't really say that about people. People aren't horrible, but these coaches were terrible. Really nice, though. So, yeah, kind of 4. And then Weichard came in my sophomore year for cross-country. Yeah, and then it was nice to have some consistency, because, like, the track program my freshman year was, like, 7 people, I think. Yeah. So that was a bummer.
I think it's something like 77 now.
Yeah.
Or at least it is when, in the beginning, when everybody's, like, you know, I know Coach Weichard has a whole email list and everything.
Yeah.
Usually lose a few as the season begins, but, yeah, he's definitely really expanded that. So what was the transition like? You know, when you think about your freshman year to how things were under Coach Weichert. What were some of the major differences that you remember?
Our coach knew what he was doing. And he knew what he was doing, and he really cares about the athletes. I mean, you've been on the team.
Of course.
He's just, like, so into the wholesome athlete, if that makes sense, like how you're doing with your schoolwork, how you're doing making friends and, like, emotionally and just maturely. Yeah. Because he always talks about how, at least he always talked to me about how, like, the principles you learn in season are going to help you, like, as an athlete, but also just as a functioning adult. Like, one of my favorite things he says is, like, you'll talk about your race and you're like, oh, it's just so bad and I need to work on this. And he goes, well, just run faster or just do it. And I'm like, oh, it's not that simple. But a lot of things are just like, well, you got to go for it. So, yeah, I can't remember what you originally asked me. The transition?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, really looking at an athlete as a whole person, not just like a runner. And I think especially for D3, that's important because,
Sure.
No one gets a scholarship. The range in ability for anyone on the team is like huge variation, which is really cool and unique to D3. So it'd be foolish to look at a student as just an athlete if, you're a D3 program and you guys aren't,
right.
Yeah. You're not really running that fast. And it doesn't mean your work is any less valuable, but, it's like, well, they're people too. Not to say D1 and D2 athletes aren't, but it's just totally different. The coach we had for track freshman year was convinced he was going to get us all to, like, the Texas relays or something. And there was, like, 7 of us on the team. And he was like, yeah, if you're not fast enough, you're just not going to run meets. And I was like, okay. So when Weichert came in, he was like, yeah, we're all just going to do this together. People don't leave until everyone gets back and stuff. It was just really cool to see how the team went from so individualistic to getting to the point where, like,
so much more of a
cared.
team culture.
Yes, definitely. And more of a team there, too, to have a culture with.
Yeah. I mean, I know we compete as individuals, but it's definitely such a team sport.
Oh, yeah.
In so many ways, so that sounds good. Yeah, so did you say you were captain in high school?
Yeah, I was captain in high school, end of my sophomore year to my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was captain for like 2.5 years.
So you knew what that feeling was like before you were captain here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
So how long were you captain in Gordon? Because I know we were on the team for 2 years together. I know you were captain both those years, but
yeah, I was captain and co-captain my junior, senior year, and then track my sophomore year, I think. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then track my sophomore year. Yeah, so I was captain for a while, and I got to lead with a lot of cool, wonderful people who were, like, older and younger than me. So it was cool to see all these different people and come together and lead and stuff. And it was really a fun opportunity for me because that's, like, in the context of track and cross country, I was used to kind of being in a leadership role, I guess you could say. So it was cool when, like, my sophomore year, right when I came in, coach saw that and he was like, okay, cool. I mean, the track team was, like, really small my sophomore year too, but it was still cool that he valued that position and stuff and saw me able to do that, which was fun.
Yeah. So you enjoy the responsibility that brings?
Yeah, I do. And it was cool that, like, I wasn't alone in that. I had a bunch of other people to lead with, especially for track. Like, we had 2 captains for each, like, event, like distance and sprints and throws and jumpers. Not really jumpers. What kind of jumpers? Because there's, like, 4 of them, I think. So, like, their own captains. But, yeah. I really like it because it's more community, and then it's fun to kind of be in charge of shepherding what the team culture kind of looks like. So that's really fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so do you have any races or meets in particular that stand out to you that you remember? If this can be from high school or college, or I know you set that record in the steeplechase last year.
That was really fun. Definitely all from college because, like, I've always been in the middle of whatever team I'm on. I've never been the fastest, which is, like, whatever. More people faster than me, the better for the team. But I remember one race that was, like, the best was when I qualified for New England's in the steeple. That was, like, halfway through the track season last year, I think. I just felt so fast and, like, there was nothing in my way. It's kind of hard to describe. It was just, like, one of those once-in-a-lifetime races. And, like, I crossed the finish line. It was so great. And I, like, pushed through all that pain and just it didn't really hurt that much. So I was like, wow, why hadn't I done this sooner? It was more of like a mental thing to push past, like, oh, you know, I can be fast. And then when I like crossed and qualified, everyone was like, whoa. And coach, like, Weicker come up, he was like, good job. And it was like one of those good jobs where he like means that, because he doesn't say that often. You know what I mean? So it was really cool to like hear that and see that everyone was like celebrating, because I had been trying to qualify, you know, all 4 years for anything really. Because like I always, for cross country, I always earned my spot after freshman year for like going to conference and stuff. So yeah, that was just like the best, because I felt like all my training all 4 years finally led up to that moment, and that race was just awesome and so much fun. Yeah, that was probably like one of my top 2 highlights for running at Gordon.
Was the steeplechase your main event?
It became my main event, yeah. I tried doing 800. I am not the kind of mental person to do the 800. And then I tried doing the 15, and like I did that, you know, every other meet or something like that, but I'm just not quick enough. Or a coach would say, you just gotta be quicker. I just wasn't quick enough, whether that was ability or I unconsciously chose to not be quick enough. But I never did well in the 15 either, so I did steeple. Not many people did that, so I thought initially when I tried it, I was like, oh, I'll be cool and try the steeple. Then I ran, I was like, this is awful. But then I grew to love it, because it's just a great distance and really fun. You get to jump over stuff. So I really like that.
I'm an 8 and 1500 guy.
Yeah.
So I know like the 8 in particular, it's too long to be a sprint, but it's not long enough to be a distance race. Like it's a very difficult race to run strategy wise. So yeah. Do you remember what the qualifying time was for the steeple in New England's?
It was like 12:15 or something like that. I know I just
So you were like just on.
I got it by a hair. Same with the record too. I think I got the record.
It was
by
like 2/100ths of a second or something, right?
It still counts, but I was like just by a hair. So I remember during that race, coach was like, you gotta, it's famous, you gotta go now, but it was like, you gotta go now. So it was funny looking back and seeing like, whoa, when I really pushed or got far out over the water jump, that was like, what got me there, which is really cool. So it's like, oh, if you really push that much, it makes a big difference. So my record in the qualifying is like point something, but, it's still a record. It still qualifies.
But you still got to go, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What was that experience like, getting the run at New England's?
Yeah, it was so fun. It was probably, I wouldn't say one of the worst races of my life, but it was definitely not my best race at New England's. It was so fun, though. Like, it was great being able to be there and experience the culture of just being at a meet where you had to really qualify to be there. Kind of like, I don't know. Just because I know running for cross country, getting to champs and stuff, it's not automatic, because on the team you have to quote unquote qualify. You have to be like in the top 7 or whatever to race at New England's. But for track, you actually have to like make a time and stuff. So it was cool to be in that culture of like, oh, everyone really worked and met a quota for this, which was fun. It was great because it was cool also to have, because I went with a lot of my friends who were seniors and stuff. So it was cool to have like that last hoorah during the track season and see all these other big schools and stay overnight and stuff. My race the next day was like not good. I got lapped. I ran pretty slow, not like much slower, but I ran slower than what I usually did. But just, I had fun. I was like, you know what? I know I'm not going to run an 11:30 that you need to move on or whatever. So I just had fun. I think I got lapped, but I was like, it's okay. That girl got like 11:10 or whatever, something stupid. So it was an honor. It was an honor. I didn't get last either, which is a terrible way to think about it, but it was just really fun. Knowing that I had raced my best, I was like happy with how it went, and I was able to be at the meet and watch all these other people at our school break records and have awesome jumps and runs and everything. So it was just really fun. It was like a little party for the weekend.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. What about cross country? Going to run New England's there. What's that feeling like? Because I know I've been the past couple of years. I've been an alternate, so I haven't gotten to run.
Yeah.
But
it is cold. Oh my gosh. It was so cold. Junior year was definitely the best year for running at New England's. It was so much fun, and that was like for cross country. That would definitely be my highlight. That meet. That's when Louisa Dodds and Kayla Croning went like, I think it was 23:06 and 23:01 or something like that. They're still at top 2.
Yeah, number 2 fastest ever. Yeah.
Yeah, 6K at Gordon. That was amazing to see. Because, they were just like within a few seconds of each other. And then the whole pack was running together pretty much the entire time, and everyone got big PRs. And it was so cold, but it was really fun. So it was just a whole different culture than conference, just because there's also a bunch of teams there. It was nuts. Like junior year, the funnel going into the actual course was so tight that it was really hard.
Weren't there
not
like
to get
60
squished.
teams on the line or something like that?
Yeah. It was nuts. And then my senior year, it was really big too, and that was fun. That was even colder. Yeah, so it's cold and really fun, and it just feels, it sounds stupid, but you feel really cool. You're like, wow, we like worked so hard to get to this moment, and we're in our spandex and we're freezing, but it's like cool and it's really fun. So it's just a great experience knowing that you've worked so hard and pushed yourself and then pushed your teammates to get to this point where you can just have this really celebratory experience where you still like work really, really hard, but it's more highlighted than a lot of other meets during the season, and it's really fun.
Yeah. What part of California are you from again?
Outside San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it gets cold there. Maybe not as cold as like up here in Boston. But
yeah. Like in the city, it'll get to the 40s, but I live, if anyone's from California, I don't know, I live through the Caldecott Tunnel, East Bay. No one's going to know where that is, but I live through there. So the coldest it gets in my area is like 50. But, when you're in the state, it feels cold. And when it rains a lot. But coming over here was like,
yeah,
really
because
cold.
I remember my freshman year just standing there. I think it was below freezing. It was so cold. But
yeah, it got kind of depressing having to run on the treadmill all the time, especially my freshman year. That was when the snow was the worst. I remember the first time I slipped on ice. That was really fun. Yeah, it was on Grapevine Road, and that like there's like a Caldecott or something. Yeah, it's a lot different.
So yeah, how long did it take you to adjust to running in the colder temperatures?
Yeah, not too long, just because when cross country started, it's like humid and really warm, and then it's a pretty nice transition from hot to cold, so I had a lot of time to adjust. And I'd like been to the snow before. Something people in California say, at least in my region, because you get snow in California, but in my area, people say, oh, we're going to go to the snow. So you like go to the snow for vacation and stuff. So I was like, oh, I've been to the snow before. And people are like, what? Because you just like live in it. So the adjustment wasn't too hard. It was just funny, like, being like, okay, we're doing our 2-hour long run and it's snowing, but we're going to do it anyway. And I grew to love it. Running in the snow is just so much fun because you go a little slower, but when you run with people, you're just like laughing and having a good time. So I definitely don't mind it. It's a lot of fun.
I remember that picture that, I don't know if you put it in the group chat or on social media or something, but like a bunch of us just said, forget it, the snow was too bad. We went into the pool, but I think it was like 5 of you that actually went out and ran in the snow.
Yeah. We went on Chabaco Road, and that was so much fun. It was like a foot of snow, and we were just kind of like closhing around, like falling and laughing. It was just so fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather run in just cooler temperatures, but I don't know, there's something about running in the snow in particular, like even more so than the rain. It can be a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, well, I don't know, any other running stories you want to tell or anything you can think of?
When we were at New England's for track, this is something so small. Coach had a bald man's hairbrush in his car, and it's just like a stick of wood in the shape of a hairbrush, but there's no bristles on it. And he would just like rub his head with it, and it was so goofy. One more funny thing. No one is going to remember this. No, I think Angie will remember this. But the track coach, no one will remember this. The track coach, one of the track quote-unquote coaches my freshman year, his name was Michael. I won't say his last name. I don't remember it. But sometimes you'll see him in the pool. When he swims, like, in the pool, it's very, like, splashy. He puts his hands down really flat. So he's that guy. It's like, psh, psh, psh. So everyone's like, oh, my gosh. People on the team, we literally thought he had some sort of, like, cartel drug connection just because he would bring these, like, pills and powders to practice in, like, little Ziploc bags. He'd be like, oh, I got this health pill from my friend. It's going to help, like, you run fast or whatever. And we were like, oh my gosh. And somehow he knew how he could get us a track for free. And he'd always be like, oh, I got free running shoes from some way. Do you want them? And we're like, oh, my gosh. He was so nice. He did ditch one of our meets to go on a date with someone. That was really funny. We're like, where's Michael? And our coach was like, oh, he's on a date. And we're like, what? So that was interesting. If you know.
Yeah, that's, yeah, wow.
So, like.
All right, then.
So goofy. Because, yeah, he's like, I can get us a track for free. We just have to do some advertising. So we're like, Michael, what kind of advertising would we be doing? So, yeah, that was.
It sounds a lot different than Justin Weichert, for sure.
Yes. A lot different. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So funny, though.
Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, so I know you're very passionate about Vida and the outdoors. So how did your experience go freshman year? I obviously went well because you came back to be a Sherpa, but what started your passion for that?
Yeah, well, just my freshman year coming in August, if anyone had Sam Craig, he was my Sherpa too. Great guy. It was just a lot of fun. It was really cool being able to just exert yourself every day. I did a hiking trip. We did Giant and Dick's region. It was really fun just being able to like walk all day and be outside and move around, and then at the end of the day be really tired but rest really well. It felt like a cross-country season, but like slam-packed into 2 weeks, if that makes sense. So it was really fun, and I loved the experience it provided for me. And after the trip, I remember thinking, wow, I want to be able to help provide this experience to other people. So then I applied and started working the following summer, and it was just so much fun. I really loved it. The only downside was like I missed preseason when we started doing preseason at the Adirondacks again, but it was like I saw the team. That's actually where I met Weichert. My sophomore year, when I led a trip, I got back and the cross-country team was there. And they were like, hey, this is a new coach. And I was like, oh, hey. So that's why I met him. It was really funny. But yeah, I've just loved it. The outdoors is a great place for, people to learn and exercise. And it's just so much fun, too. Yeah, so I love it.
Yeah. What's the difference between, like, being there as a student and having to leave the students and being a Sherpa?
Yeah. Well, you have to manage time and manage everything. So sometimes I wish I wish I could go do another participant trip just because there's so much you don't have to worry about. It's really fun, too, because you just know all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes that the participants just aren't aware of, and that can be stressful. But it's also kind of fun being like, oh, yeah, we did this or something, and they have no idea, so that's good. They don't have to stress out about it. And it's fun leading with like different Sherpas every time because you get to hear all these different experiences, and then it's great because like the whole Vida staff culture and community is just amazing. All these wonderful people who are just like, yep, you're gonna get rained on for 2 weeks, but you love it anyway. So it's definitely a fun culture similar to cross country and track, just because everyone has the idea like, well, it's going to suck a lot, but you love it anyway, and it's really great. And then once you're done, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to do it again. So La Vida's just been amazing and so much fun in that way.
Do the Sherpas have more access to, like, food and showers and things like that?
No, we don't get showers. Like, we shower once all the students leave at the end of trip, we take a shower, like, after we're done with gear and everything. But, like, I was on a trip where when my participants did their final day, the Sherpa and I, my co-Sherpa and I, like, packed a little lunch bag for the day because, the finals is when they go do the itinerary for the day, but you pretend to, like, be gone and stuff. So you, like, kind of stay behind them and watch and make sure they're not getting lost. And we packed a little lunch, and we took the group's little bag of beef jerky, and we ate it and didn't tell them. And then that night, they're like, where's the beef jerky? Because they were going to put it in, like, mac and cheese or whatever. And we're like, oh, it must have gotten lost. But we, like, totally ate it. So that was funny. So that's, like, you don't really get more access to food. But, like, you bring, like, the Sherpa surprise bag, which has desserts and stuff. And then you also get resupply, too, during the solo that the students go on. And that's fun.
So that's what the Sherpas are doing during the solo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're, like, we don't fast because you need to be able to respond if there's like an emergency or something. But we read journals, we do ACEs, we pray for the students, and then support staff from base camp will come and bring you they will bring you food to make for the students when they get off of solo, and they also bring you food when you're on solo, so they'll bring like a little thing of orange juice, and it's just like manna from heaven because you haven't had fruit in eons. But yeah, it's really fun to see like what's behind the scenes when you're a Sherpa versus a participant.
Yeah. How well did you know Rich Obenstein?
Rich, yeah, I met Rich my freshman year after Vida. Yeah, and then in May the following season, I worked support staff, and that's when I got to know him. I helped him build the new wall on the low course up at base camp. It's like the big wall that you have, like everyone has to climb over and stuff. I helped him build that, and then just hanging out. I didn't know him like super close, but it was more like you know him and like, you know, just that person everybody knows. Yeah, and then I almost was his TA for Discovery, but then that didn't work out. But just like see him around the Vida office and everything. Just in passing, he would always play racquetball with Joel in Bennett Center when we had practice. I was like, hey, and he was like, hey. So yeah.
Yeah. I only met him briefly during I guess my first Discovery class.
Yeah.
But I know he had a real major impact on a lot of students here.
Absolutely. I remember he always did the barn talks whenever I was on trip and everything, and just so friendly and so frank, but in like the best way. Yeah, anyone who knew him would be like, you know, agree with that, I'd say. He's just so fun. And he'd always tell stories like back in the 70s about, that's like a joke so many people from La Vida have, like back in the 70s, because you talk about people in La Vida when you'd go on solo and you'd get like a sheet of plastic and you had to leave all your stuff and you had to like do all these things. So it's funny to hear like what La Vida did back in the 70s and how it's a lot different from
Is it
now.
true that his birthday was Earth Day?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That seems fitting.
Yeah, he was really cool. Glad he left behind a good legacy and a good program.
Yeah, I'm sure you all miss him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were a social work major, right?
Yeah, I was.
So, but you came in as a music major.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
how did that
I was a music
change
major
happen?
for a year and a half, and then I didn't want to do it anymore. I came in because I love music, and I was a vocal major, so I was like, oh, I love music. It'll be so much fun. But then when I actually had to like do it for homework, I remember thinking, this sucks. So I changed, and I still did choir every year.
Sure.
Which was really fun. But I switched to social work, and I did the old program. I know it's different now, but I did the old one where I did a practicum my senior year and all these different classes and stuff. And yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, that's an area of study I'm not too familiar with. So
yeah. So
what kind of career paths does that open up for you, having a degree in
yeah,
that?
you could do so many things with social work. Like when most people think of a social worker, they think of like the guy from Lilo and Stitch who like takes kids away. That's like definitely one role you can have, like with child protective services and stuff like that. But there's also HR in big companies, or work with different protective services for adults, children, elderly, whatever. You can pretty much do anything with a social work degree. It's a major in people, pretty much, which is something I loved because I still don't know what I want to do, but having a major in social work, there's so many different pathways I could explore that would still like pertain to what I learned in class and what I studied at my practicum and everything. So it's really broad, which is nice, but it's also like, oh, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but there's still a lot of option there.
Yeah, I know ComArts is very similar, just because media continues to evolve and new fields continue to open up. Like social media is very new. So the people going through the program 20 years ago, like, you know, there are jobs these days that are just running those platforms for companies and people, and those jobs didn't even exist just a handful of years ago. So it's constantly evolving, and new opportunities are opening up. So yeah, I don't know what I want to do yet, in particular, but I'm glad I'm getting a little bit of experience in everything to kind of widen my skill set.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. That's cool. I know you said you're doing a practicum too. Practicum and internships are amazing. So helpful.
Yeah, I should probably get on that. Try to figure that out here.
Get cracking. Get looking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff out
Crazy.
there.
I feel like I blinked and I'm like, it's going to be just over a year and I'll hit the graduation requirements. Crazy to think about, but yeah. How's life right now for you? I know you got married, so that had to be great over the summer.
It was okay. No, it was really fun. Yeah, I got married on July 27th. So 7/27. Pete, my husband, jokes like, "Oh, you can never forget that date," because I forget like so many dates. So that's good. I'm not gonna forget that one. It was really fun. It was like 102 degrees out, but everyone lived. No one fainted. It was really great. And then after that, we moved into Beverly, just downtown, and we're living in a little like apartment kind of style house there with one of our friends who's doing a master's program at Gordon, like below us, because we're here because Pete's finishing up his master's program with Gordon College. He's doing special ed, so he's actually in class right now. So he's studying to do that, and then I'm teaching discovery here and working at a couple other places. So it's good. It's been really busy, just because every week my schedule is different with work and stuff. So that's been kind of hard, just because like after college, I remember thinking, oh, I want to be kind of done with jumping around a bunch of different things, but here I am jumping around a bunch of different things, which is totally fine. Yeah, it's good getting used to a new way of life outside of Gordon. Where we live, it's nice because I can like walk a bunch of places, which is cool. So you're not like trapped in a suburb or something. But it is a lot different than college. Yeah, but it's going well. Doing the best we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see yourself staying out here or heading back to California eventually? Or what are your future plans there?
Gosh, we would like to move back to California, but after all the fires and stuff, it's going to take a lot more convincing for Pete. We'd like to, just because that's where my family is, and Pete, like, he has older brothers and stuff, but he was like an only child when he was like in 4th grade because his brothers are a lot older than him. So we talked about moving back to California because that's like, I have a little bit bigger family than him, like down there, and he also has family in California too. Not that it's like a hierarchy or anything, but like I'm close to my siblings, so we talked about moving out there because teaching opportunities are also really good out there too, for teachers and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, we know we want to live on either coast because Pete's from New Jersey, so we don't want to live in like one of those square states. Bleh. So yeah, ideally we'd like to go back to California, but I don't know how soon it's gonna happen. But yeah, always visit and stuff, which is good.
Yeah. So I know you're working with Vida.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me if you mentioned this already, but what other work opportunities do you have going on right now?
Yeah, so I'm working at Vida doing discovery, then I'm also working at Project Adventure. It's very similar to Adventure Pursuits that is here at Gordon College. So it's adventure, and I also do Adventure Pursuit stuff. So I'm doing Adventure Pursuits, Project Adventure, all these APPA places. And Project Adventure is in Beverly. Yeah. And it's like a challenge course, ropes course, really similar to ours, but it's mostly day programs for schools, which is really fun. So I'll do that on random days during the month whenever they need people. And then I also work at Gordon Conwell as a security officer on Saturday evenings. So if you go speeding on Gordon Conwell campus from 3:30 to 11:30, I will find you. Yeah, so I'm doing those 3 right now. And then once the outdoor season ends, like Discovery and Project Adventure will be done. So I'll just be doing Conwell. So I'm going to try and find something different. But for now, it's fun because I'm doing a bunch of walk around outdoor jobs, which is really great because I don't want to be in an office because that drives me crazy. But yeah, work is good. A lot of stuff, but it's fun to get a bunch of different experiences and stuff,
Yeah. So life's good.
Yeah, life's good. We're trucking. It's good so far.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, Julia. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
And telling your story. And I want to thank you personally because I know when I came in as a freshman, I was thinking I'd be one of the slower, just kind of irrelevant guys that was there. But you and the other captains really made me feel like I was an important part of the team. So that's something that I'm really thankful for. And the team's been a big part of my experience here at Gordon and a really positive one. So I want to thank you for that. So
gosh, I'm glad you've had such a good time, and you are important for the team. So I'm glad you're feeling that. So
yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up. Savannah, are we live? Did we ever get that figured out? We're not live. Okay.
All right, well, when we're live, congratulations, you listened to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd say stay tuned for Will Lott's The Fresh Take, but I guess that doesn't matter if we're not live. So But if you're listening after the fact, check out Will's show and all the other great shows here at Sky Radio. Next week's guest is Nate Hausman, so I'm excited to have him on.
He's my boss.
Yes.
Oh my
so
gosh. Nate.
That's going to be a good one for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so for now, I'm Ben Schneider. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.